Hi, I'm CJ and this is my RC channel. So we need bag 4 and we are on to step 1 for bag 4. Now, I don't remember replacing quite that many screws with titanium pieces. I'm beginning to think they've put in some extras here. Okay, I'm going to show you a little trick. I usually do this before I trim these pills off. These pieces are to adjust the rear suspension. What they do is they plug into these spaces here, here, and here, and here, and they, while these stay straight, those don't move. Depending on where the holes are located, like these are more or less in the center, these are off to one side, these are off in one corner. You can see, and I'm skipping ahead just to kind of demonstrate for you because we're going to get to this soon. Oops, page over. Okay, they're going to recommend a specific location. If let me lift this up for you. Okay, you see this diagram here, 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 and here. You see the black spot in the center. That's where they recommend our suspension rod go. Okay, our kingpin. This is the pivot point for the rear suspension arm. Now, if the hole was this one here and here, this is the C plate. That's the first one. That would make the angle outward and it would tow out the rear tires. If they were both the outer one, that would move it out equally, both left and right, and it would widen the rear track by at least a couple millimeters. Likewise, if they were both the inner one, it would narrow the track by a couple millimeters. This isn't about changing track and height, though it can be used for that. It's really about having rear caster or rear camber, or excuse me, sorry, I'm confusing my terms. Toe, in other words, to the, like duck foot, wheels going out. You don't want that. Most times you either want your wheels both straight ahead or slightly tipped in. Tipping them in a little bit is going to give you more straight line stability, and that's especially helpful in rough or loose conditions. The looser the conditions, the more toe in you want in the rear. The front is different. Front, you generally don't want toe in, you want a little bit of toe out. That helps the car dive into turns better. It increases steering. So that's what these are for. And you can also have the front end be lower. That is helps create traction. So there's a lot going on here with these little pills. And stock, they want us to put them center. Let me just check my build sheets here. Okay. Okay, now the guy who is racing on a dirt track with it's a dirt surface, it's dry, it's a little damp, and medium to high traction, and he's got it as hard pack, indoor, bumpy, and he's got them towed in. In other words, he's got the front ones in the center and the rear ones in the center, in the vertical center, but outer, which is probably what I'm going to go with. That's probably a better off-road setup, which is how I'm going to be driving this car. So anyway, here's the trick I was going to tell you. These have a number and a little dot stamped in them. And this might be easier to do while they're attached to the tree. This one fell off on me when I was handling it. You take a magic marker and you just kind of go over the surface. Oops. See, that's why it's easier to do on the tree. And you want to be careful just to be touching the surface. And what it does is it makes the number and the dot show up a lot more vividly because you're creating contrast. And you can use any color magic marker you want. But that is something people have been doing for a long time, and it definitely helps you choose the right pill when you are making an adjustment to your suspension. This is definitely a setting that you may want to play with down the road. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to do all of these. I'm going to trim off the excess stuff. I'm going to trim these guys off, and I'll come back. Okay, I did the marker on the parts, as you can see, and it makes it a lot easier to read. We have pills that are a 0.5 millimeter change and pills that are a 1 millimeter change. That's why these drawings are a little different. They obviously didn't update the image here. If you look at the build sheet for the latest 6.2 kit, you can see that it's got a box of holes surrounded by another box of holes. So there's actually two positions to either side of center, be it diagonally, left, right, up, down. That's why there are pills that are marked 0.5 and pills that are marked 1 and pills that have just a point in the center. So obviously the center ones are for the ones that are black here. 0.5 would be any of the inner ring of marks, and 1 would be the outer ring. So we're getting a more granular change on the pills than on the previous model. They just didn't update the drawing in the plans for whatever reason. Someone missed that in the editing process. So, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put the pills in for the center position for the front. I am using 0.5 to the left. Now, there are ones that are 0.5 where the point is to the corner. That can be rotated in any direction, any of 4 sides, north, south, east, or west, up, down, left, or right, however you want to describe it. Same thing with the ones that are pointing to one side. So in other words, this could be, you know, a half a degree left, a half a degree up, a half a degree right, half a degree down. And the ones where the pills are at an angle, it can be, you know, northwest, northeast, southwest, southeast, you know, however you want to describe those 4 different locations that are possible. So we need 2 3x6 flatheads. Got a pair of those right here, and we are going to anchor the C block. It drops. Excuse me. Allergies. 'Tis the season of pollen. So we need a little bit of Loctite on each of these screws. believe I jumped past a step, yes. Bag 4, step 1, we need to put these inserts in. And let's, okay, these are going to be, this is up. In other words, the wishbone is a curve down toward the center, like a gull wing, and that's right, and this is left. Now these inserts go in from the rear, and they want us to use the C hole. So there's two types, one where the hole is very near the outside, one that's closer. So this is position A and C, I'm sorry, A and D, and this is B and C if you're doing A, B, C, D. So easiest way to show that is to do this. And you can see how the holes go diagonally that way. So depending on whether it's upside down or right side up, you're moving the location for the hole. So for a stock setup, they say we should use C, which would be these two pieces, one facing each one where the hole is closest to the outside. Let me just check the bill sheets for options. And everyone is using the C location, so that's fine. Okay, now let's see, they want us to insert them from the front side, which is the side with the little ball stud here molded in. So that is going to be C. That's the second to furthest out, and you have these little hash marks to help you be sure. And then this one just slides in there. Now, they're easily pushed back out again, so if they start falling out on you, don't be surprised. You're going to be screwing your shocks in there. So, let's check out our kingpins. Okay, we got great rotation on that one. And again, excellent rotation, so we don't need to use a reamer. These are going to get stored for future use, but considering that every build I've got here uses the same setup, again, that's going to be probably something that we don't ever change. Now, if you want to follow the instructions and go with the center location, that's fine. Depends on what you want. I want to have a little bit more rear toe, so I'm going to go with the 0.5 and kind of split the difference. And the image isn't very clear about the orientation of this piece, but it looks like it's just going to go like this, with this cutaway kind of facing to the rear. And we're not going to do anything to anchor it down at this time. They're going to have us go right into diff building. I bought the rear sway bars. It's a pack of 3, part number 71129. And I'm not a big fan of ball diffs, especially when you're running mod class. They have if you guys know what barking a diff is, it basically you're ruining the differential. And it's a lot easier to do with modified motors because they have so much power. If I was running stock class, I'd probably go ahead and run the ball diff. I love gear diffs. I love being able to tune the diffs, you know, by changing the viscosity of the fluid, you know, get it where you like it, and then it's a sealed unit. You can leave it, and there's no way to ruin them. There's no such thing as barking a geared diff. Anyway, I like geared diffs. So I got the diff kit. It's 91786. So I'm not going to be showing you how to build a ball diff. I've got a few other videos, I think, that have ball diff builds, and there certainly are lots of them out on the internet if you're curious. Okay, other things that I picked up, I got the front sway bars, so I would have the smaller sizes as well, so I could tune front and rear, especially if I go running this on some carpet at some point. That's when you really want to lower it down, and you're almost going for like a car type setup versus an off-road setup, because of the traction that you get on carpet and how smooth the carpet surface is. In any event, the kit here is 91822. That gives you the 3 sway bars. And I also picked up another pack of I picked up this little kit here. It's 71134. This is the anti-roll bar hardware. Now it's listed as the T6.1, as in truck. In other words, the stadium truck. It's the same thing. Doesn't matter. The reason I got this is because I wanted an extra set of these ball ends and the little wheel clasp that goes in the center. And the grub screws, all the little knickknacks I need for the rear. So I went ahead and got that so I would have those extra parts. I am going to be building this up with the Fox Kashima coated shock bodies. I've got the rear ones, the 12 by 36 millimeter. And I've got the 27.5s on order. They should be here in a few days to a week. This is a very high demand item. They go out of stock very quickly, so if you want to use these, grab them. A lot of people run these and they don't run them with the trinitrile, or this gold colored coated shock shafts. Most people, and I'm talking professional racers, run these shock bodies with the chrome shock shafts, and I'm not sure why. I want to look into that, do a little research, see if I can figure out what the methodology is there. Why you would use this really high-end shock body and not use what is supposed to be the more slippery coated shaft, because the shaft doesn't directly relate to the shock body. It never touches it. It passes through those X-rings. So if you're running the X-rings, you would think you would go with the trinitrile, but they seem to be running the chrome, and I'm curious, so I'm going to look into that, see if I can get an answer. But this is supposed to be a really nice coating, this Kashima coating. This is actually made by Fox, the company they've been making motorcycle, mostly dirt bike performance parts for decades. I mean, since I was a kid, Fox has been around. And so I've definitely been wanting to get a set of these for one of my cars at some point, try them out, see what they're really all about. This is part number 91579, if I didn't mention that a few minutes ago. You'll see the part number for the other one when I get it. Like I said, been looking forward to getting a set of these. They're a little pricey. It is definitely an expensive upgrade. You're talking like $30 a pair, 20, 26, 27, you know, $29.99, depending on the size of them and where you buy them. So buying, you know, 2 of them, you're adding an extra $60 almost to the cost of the vehicle. That's a pretty pricey upgrade, but supposedly it is worth it, because the pistons just glide through these shocks. And you know, tires are the number one thing. Getting your tires set up right, having the right compound, grinding them down to the right level of tread to give you just the right performance level you need for a given, you know, moment at the track, because the track changes over the course of the day. You know, sometimes they water it, sometimes it's drying out, sometimes the temperature changes. So that's kind of something that is in flux, and you want to have multiple sets of tires. So like, let's say you bought, you're racing on a clay track, so you're running the clay compound, but you might have 2 or 3 different sets of clay tires that you have used a sanding block to wear down the tread to different levels. You know, sometimes you're running it almost down to slick, and depending on the conditions of the track, one of those sets of tires is going to do better than the others. There's a lot of little things you can do to improve tires. The conditioner that you use on them, there's fluids that you can use to soften the rubber up. You can also do things like do a V-cut in the foam insert. You take the foam insert, you flip it inside out, put it on the rim, spin it up on the end of a drill, and use like some sandpaper wrapped around like a little piece of wood shaped like a V to grind a V in the center, in the underside of the foam. That way the foam kind of compresses a little more, kind of gives you a bit of a flat spot in the center of your tire, things like that. So it's kind of a black art kind of thing. Another thing that I got was this steel chassis weight. And I know I'm always talking about getting rid of weight, lightening it up. This is going to be a very powerful truck, and with only rear-wheel drive, these things can be wheelie machines, where it's hard to keep the front end on the ground. I'm going to be running mod class, so I think there's a minimum weight. There may not be. It may be totally unrestricted. But I wanted to get a little weight under on the front end, and of course, if you're going to add weight to a vehicle, number one, you want it as low in the car as possible, so you're, lower center of gravity. And number two, you want it to be unsprung weight. You want it to be something on the chassis. You don't want to like add weights to your wheels. It's great for rock crawling, but not good for racing off-road or on-road for that matter. So I thought I would get this 24-gram chassis weight, and it's designed to fit right here into this depression that is machined away on the aluminum pan. And as you can see, there's another one here. They actually give us this piece with the kit. This is only 13 grams because this is made of aluminum. This is 24 grams because it's made of steel. They also make a steel plate for here that I think is like 32 grams, I forget, but it's out there if you decide that you need more weight to balance out the car, get the right handling. Because remember, with the modified class, these motors have so much power. I'm going to be running a 6.5 turn motor on this. It's crazy fast. It's going to take effort to control the vehicle, not effort to make it go as fast as possible. The speed is going to be there. It's a matter of being able to manage that speed and use it well. And being able to use it means that you need all 4 tires to be on the ground. You need those front tires down. If the front tires are in the air or they're light, because it's always, trying to get the front end up off the ground, you're not going to corner well. So especially high-speed turns where you're accelerating or at least putting power to the rear wheels through a turn, if that front end is trying to come up off the ground, you're going to go right off the track. So anyway, here I am giving the lecture again. But I'm trying to give you guys all the info I can. So if I talk long, there's guys out there who don't have a lot of knowledge and experience yet who need that. So, okay, so where exactly I left off was bag 5, step 3, building up the ball diff. And I am going to, well, actually, we really left off back here at bag 5, step 1. And I'm going to skip the ball diff because I'm going to be building up a gear diff, which I will show you. And then I am going to move on to bag 6, step 1, assembling the transmission. So I wanted to go ahead first and install this chassis weight, and then I'm going to proceed to the diff and then come back to bag 6, step 1. So I'm going to do that with a minimum of talking, and unless I see something I need to teach you guys about or explain. Otherwise, I'm just going to set this stuff aside. And also, since I didn't do the, I wasn't able to connect the sway bar, and there also is a linkage here that didn't get done. I'll go ahead and do those for you before doing the transmission and this. So just to recap, I'm going to put in the chassis weight. I'm going to connect the sway bar. I'm going to make the linkage for the servo to the rack and connect that. And then we'll move forward to differential and transmission. Okay. And this aluminum weight, I'll go ahead and put it in because I may be using this as the mount for the speed control. We'll see. Let me go ahead and I'll just put that in place and then do this one. So here are the 4 screws. This was bag 2.1. So let's see what size these are. Okay. That should be the 1.5, I think. Let me see. Yep, 1.5. I use my MIP tools. Those are just better. And of course, I'm going to need Loctite. Definitely don't want to put too much on there. Now also, don't tighten them all down until you get all 4 of them started. Now these little screws are really easily stripped, so press hard into the screw so your wrench is getting a good bite, and then don't over tighten. Let the Loctite do its job. Just get it snug. See, that's one of the really nice things about these MIP wrenches. It seems like not only are they extremely precise at the initial tip, but it seems like they slightly widen, like they're slightly beveled, so that the further you push in, the tighter they get. Sometimes they really stick into the head of the screw and it's hard to pull them out. But I've never stripped the head of a screw with these MIP wrenches. They are very much worth the money you pay for them. gonna have to lift that up completely. The little cutaways, I can't slide it in there. I need to pull the servo. This is offered in different weights. There's going to be an aluminum version of it, and there might be a brass version. So if it turns out that the 24 grams is too heavy, I can always swap it for something else. On the other hand, if it is making the front end stick better, I might have to handle the balance issue by adding a little weight rearward just to kind of level it out. Like I said, these cars are going to have so much power running mod class that you know, that little bit of extra weight, as long as the weight is as long as it's not unsprung weight, it may be just fine having that extra. And you know what? As long as I'm about to make this linkage, I'm going to leave this disconnected for the moment. Let's see. I'm looking back here because I want to get the size they recommend. So at least I've got a good starting point there. Okay, here we go. We're supposed to use a 1 millimeter buffer in between. We've got, okay, did they give us... tighten the steering link ball cups all the way until snug, and of course we need an angle on those. So one of them is going to be up and down, and one of them is going to be tilted like that. And those pieces are this little guy here and that little one there. I also need these. I might as well cut them off while I'm in here. Those are my sway bar linkages. Now, when I'm done, I'm going to trim all of these off and I'm going to put them into a box. Let me just show you. I like these boxes. I buy the same ones all the time. I buy them in usually 4-packs. They're pretty cheap when I buy them in 4-packs, like $25, I think, for 4 of them. It is, the name is, do I have one with no stickers on it? Yeah, hang on. I'll give you the name. Just get them on Amazon, and it's called Cast King, K-A-S-T-K-I-N-G, Affordable Innovation, Cast King. So that's the name of the manufacturer. And what I do is I take stickers that come with the model. If I'm going to be using a bunch of them for the body, I just buy an extra sheet, and then I put sticker on the side. I don't do them on both sides, just one side, because I'll line them all up on a shelf facing outward the same direction. So if I'm looking at them from above, I know which box I've got for which car. If I'm looking at them from the side, I know which one it is. They're adjustable, and I'll set up all my spares, all the pills, everything you get multiples of, all the extra sway bars and stuff will be in here. I've already ordered some spare arms, a pair of spare arms, a pair of spare knuckles. When those come in, they all get put in the box, so I've got them later. If I'm at the track and something breaks, I can do repairs immediately. I've been doing them like that forever. Sometimes if I don't have a sticker, I'll just do this, put a piece of tape down, and go at it with a Sharpie, And that way I know, you know, everything that's in here. As you see, this is for my Formula One car. I've got extra front end steering pieces. I've got extra gears, screws, different specific Tamiya greases, like their diff lube and their anti-wear grease, stuff like that. All the goodies. It just makes it easier to work and to find everything that you need. I'm trying to find a grub screw for this, because I don't think that they gave me one for that either. I know I've got 1mm spacers. Okay. Let's just go about it the easy way. Spacers and grub screws. These are all large. I've got some extra turnbuckles there as well. Stainless steel hardware. Wish I had one that was a little longer. Let me see. Yeah, that one's at least 1 millimeter or 2 longer. I'll use one of those. Let me go ahead and put that grub screw back. The other day, I had all this loose hardware, and I sat down and just, you know, like took a tray of it, spilled it out, and just started sorting into piles, and got them all sorted out, and just set stuff up, kind of a loose. I didn't bother like labeling and everything. I just did a nice loose arrangement where at least all of this stuff is of the same size in each compartment, and that way I can go through it when I need something. If I'm really curious about the measurement, I can just throw a caliper on it. But you know, generally I know what's there, and it's pretty easy to kind of eyeball what size things are. I'm gonna need some of this stuff for the rear sway bar later, so I might as well leave it all out. Now I am gonna need, no, I don't need them for the front. I need those later for something though. I'm sorry, I'm muttering. Okay, I need a small box. This is another kind of thing that's handy to have. I've got a bunch of these little boxes. A while ago, I bought, it was kind of like a tackle box, but it was an organizational box, and it was full of these little boxes, probably like 30 of them. And they are really handy because they're the right size to fit inside my tackle boxes, my big parts boxes. Those square compartments are perfect for 2 of these stacked one on top of another. So I can take a bunch of things like shock absorber seals, little O-rings, other shock parts like spacers that are machined to the right size and you don't want them mixed up with like washers, and just throw them in these little boxes and drop them in. So a 1mm spacer, and these are associated 1mm spacers. There we go. Now, since I've already threaded it, it's a lot of times it's easier to pull this out and then thread the other side as well, and that way you don't run the risk of you know, having most of this into one and then only a little bit twisted into the other, because you can't really see. So you want to make sure that there's a decent amount of threaded grub screw on each side. See, that just goes together nice and easy. Okay, so now I need one up and one at a slight angle. that looks pretty good. Easiest way to do this sometimes is to slide it over to one side and just connect that one, but not in this case. It looks like the easiest way is just to do it like this. There we go. That is not correct. Okay. Now, I saw a press release the other day that they are bringing out some new versions of certain parts. Specifically, these two rails here and here, and the front and rear arms, and they are making them out of a stiffer, it's like a combination of carbon fiber and plastic, a composite, and it's supposed to be stiffer and 25% lighter than their hard version of these two pieces. So this is the stock piece. There's a hard piece, and I actually I put in an email request for a to be notified about the carbon ones. They were supposed to be coming out in mid-May, excuse me, and they were not available on Associated's website when I put in the email request to be notified, and within 20 minutes I got an email saying that they were in stock, and went back to the site, and sure enough the site says they're in stock, and so I ordered a pair. Now, I didn't do the arms. I'm going to wait on that because I'm going to be racing off-road dirt, or excuse me, clay. If I was racing an off-road carpet course, I would probably do that because, as I've mentioned before, carpet, you're almost setting up with a mind toward a road setup, a very stiff, very precise setup that doesn't have a lot of flex, because you're running on a very smooth surface. For off-road, you want a certain amount of flex. You want a little bit of give, but not necessarily for the chassis. And they are also 25% lighter, which of course doesn't necessarily mean anything because here I am adding weight. So the weight isn't a factor I'm going for because I'm racing mod. If I was racing stock class, and I may at some point build, either change the build on this or build a second one of these to run stock, in that case, every little bit of weight I can shave off, I'm going to get rid of, because you're dealing with that, you know, limited motor. I think it's 13.5 turn. So anyway, I ordered the stiff ones, stiff carbon ones for the chassis to see what that's like. So I'll run one set, swap it out after, you know, a day or, you know, a handful of laps, and then try it the other way and see what, you know, what the feel is like. Anyway, these little guys are hard to snap on. Okay, there is a direction that's easier. If you look here, that side is very sharp, smooth edge there, not like knife sharp, but just clean sharp. If you look here, it's a little more open, it's a little bit flanged. This is the side that you want to try to press on. If you try to press it in going this way, it's gonna kill your fingers. You do it pressing this way and it goes in quite easily. Okay, I think a needle nose pliers is going to help in this situation here. There we go. So there we go, sway bar in action. Very nice. Okay, so linkage, sway bar. Let me see, yeah, that's great. Okay, got the angles right there. So weight's on, time to build a differential.
I hope you enjoyed this video. Please click like and please subscribe to my channel.